Hey everyone, my name is Beleh, and we are back here on the Brogressive podcast. I know you guys haven't seen me for some time. Been pretty busy with school, just had spring break, and now I'm back. And I don't know, everybody, just I've been pretty depressed over my stock portfolio recently. I think a lot of people out there are a little sad about that. But today we're joined by William. William is the founder of Dream for America. Funny story, actually. I think I was going to apply to open a chapter. I think a year ago. I forgot when it was. A couple months ago. I just never got to it. But really like your guys' work. You have to check out their memes. They're so fucking funny, especially on Instagram, dude. I send that I send those to my conservative friends, and even they have to admit, okay, this is a little bit funny. So William is just 18 years old, doing all this amazing shit. Definitely wasn't doing any of this when I was 18. So William, you can go ahead and give a little spiel about yourself.
Yeah, it's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me. And you know what? It's never too late. And it's also never too late to join a chapter. Um, but it's great to be on the show. My name's William He. I am only 18 years old. I started Dream for America when I was only 16. So it's been a great, as of July 4th, 2025, it'll be a great 2 years of the organization. I'm currently a high school senior based out of Dallas, Texas, but I'll be headed to UT Austin this fall. Um, thank you. Yeah. Welcome. And I know you were just in Houston for a game, so sorry, but had to say it. But it's great to be on the show. Very excited.
Awesome. Thank you, William. And yeah, that game was pretty devastating. I think we lost by like 25 points, and I saw my quarterback throw four interceptions, which I have never seen Justin Herbert do, but it's okay because we're going to come back stronger than ever. That's what everyone says. But
Never gonna happen.
I first of all just want to say thank you for coming on. I know you have a busy schedule, and it's not easy to do this while you're ending high school. So my senior year had some COVID in there. I think we started junior year, so enjoy it. And then I don't want to sound like an unk here because I am about to graduate college, but those 4 years fly by so fast. Like it is insane to think about this. I started college 2021 and I'm about to graduate. So really enjoy it. I mean, do a lot of shit that you don't usually do at home. But stay safe as always. But yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So kind of wanted just to talk about Dream for America. And if you had to tell our audience, if you had to tell people in America, what is the main goal, the main mission of Dream for America? How would you convey that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a condensed version would basically be we're building a left wing turning point USA, and we're here to inspire young people across America to fight fascism, to defend democracy, and to become leaders in their community and spreading liberal values to their friends, their family, and beyond. And the reason why we got started, I mean, I founded the organization when I was just 16 because I thought there was a problem with the way that we were communicating with young people, and I thought that Turning Point USA is a growing threat. And I've been blaring the horn about it for 2 years, and a lot of people didn't take me seriously for a long time. But that's okay. I mean, partially because I was a sophomore in high school, but the other part was they didn't agree with what I was saying. But no hate. I'm glad people are coming around to it now, and I am very thrilled to continue to do the work in college and hopefully beyond that. I mean, one of the big reasons that I always emphasize to people, I mean, either then or now, is that for decades, the left dominated campus organizing. I mean, we drove the voting patterns, we dominated the vote, we dominated the discourse and the culture. I mean, being a liberal or progressive or whatever you want to call it, that used to be cool. But these days, if you go into any place on campus in high school, college, it's not cool to be a liberal anymore. I have to like defend myself against. I just had like a bunch of kids try to tell me that Trump should have a third term, and I was derided like it was a whole big thing. But being a liberal used to be cool. And all of that is thanks to this decades long project the right has worked on. They've spent billions on it to basically build this very powerful, long term, well funded organizing machine and cultural ecosystem that is obliterating us, not just online, on the ground, and also in our bank accounts. Like, I just saw a report that right wing groups in the last 5 years raised like $1.6 billion or something like that, and the left has only maybe barely has 500 million, which that's a lot of money, but we are being outgunned 3 to 1. But it's not just a money problem; it's also a strategy problem. Like, it's the old way of youth organizing, I think, is dead. Like the old way of like just registering people to vote and sending out like a shit ton of phone banks and texts, which great. No hate. That was what worked. And that's what worked for a long time because the assumption always was young people would always be liberal and vote Democratic. Great. That was true. And now it's not true anymore. So now we need to innovate. Now we need to adapt. What does that mean? Here's how Dream for America is going to help. And we won't solve it alone, but at least with young people, we're going to try to fix it. 3 programs. It's mirrored somewhat like Turning Point, but 3 programs. Chapters who are on the ground. They're basically our boots on the ground, our army. There are chapters. They're talking to people, registering kids to vote, of course, but also having conversations, doing events on campus, doing discourse. We're hosting different tours across the country later on with different influencers. If I ever get famous enough, maybe I'll show up at some random university in the middle of nowhere and yell at conservative kids. Who knows? Or actually, yell is not the best word. Convince them to join the right side, or I guess the left side. But um, and then we also, of course, have content, which it's Beleh.
Yeah, nailed
Beleh
it.
and the memes, right? Content, influencers, shaping the culture, and then conferences. We're actually hosting our very first conference this summer. It's called DemocracyFest 2025, but it's not like any other political conference. I mean, yes, it'll have speeches and networking,
Yeah.
whatever, but it'll be like liberal Coachella. It'll be fun.
Dude, where's the invite? What the hell?
I'll send you an invite. Hit me up. I mean, it won't be big. I don't have big expectations. I know like Turning Point, their very first conference, Charlie's own admission, like said there were like 7 people that showed up, but I don't have big expectations. But we can get 100, 200 kids there. That'll be fantastic. We'll have a party. There'll be music. It's going to be fun. There'll be food. We'll get together, learn from each other, hear from some great people, have a nice time, and then take the fight back to where your communities are. Do it all over again. Come back next year and repeat. Um, but yeah, that's Dream for America in a nutshell. We're essentially trying to win the culture war against the right, take back the mantle of cultural dominance and rebrand liberal values and remind young people why democracy is worth defending. Because America's future, I mean, it's up for grabs. So let's go get it. They want to bring a circus. Let's bring a movement.
I love that, William. I mean, first of all, I think rebranding the culture war is one of the things that we need to do. And like people don't think about this, but memes are pretty far reaching. And I know a lot of older people might think, well, my little grandson's laughing. What is he laughing on? Some laughing at some post on Instagram or TikTok actually goes a far way. Like you'd be surprised. I mean, we know this because we have a lot of younger friends. Like you go to school and there's like a meme that blows up the JD Vance meme. Like even my friends who aren't political know about the JD Vance meme, and it's little things like that we may think is little, but it spreads by so far and fast. And I think a big reason for that is most Americans just don't have the time to go read the news. Most Americans don't have the time to like turn on cable news or any media and consume it for hours in a day like I do. I don't know if you do. I'm guessing you do as well. So they go on their phone, right? And they go on Instagram and refresh the page and see like, oh, a food recipe. Oh, one of their friends are getting married. And oh, look, Trump's like saying that we were going to win and now the stock market is crashing. Like that video that I'm sure you've seen and I think you guys have posted, those types of things are really far reaching. And it's something that I've talked about for a while that we have been losing in. Right. And I think part of that is also, we were in power for 4 years. So a lot of the memes are not going to be favorable to us, but you're really seeing a shift now with Trump in power and Republicans in power, and a lot of people consuming those memes that are, funny and goofy, but they also shed some light about what's happening right now. So I think that's one of the parts of Dream for America that I personally love. I wanted to ask about the conference. If people out there are interested in going and joining you guys, what's the process for that? Should they follow your guys' page for more announcements?
Yeah, it's still in works. It's still under wraps, but we're looking at sometime in July. We'll have more information very soon on how to register, how to get yourself there, what we're going to be doing, who's going to be there. So follow us on socials. Instagram will be the best place to see it, but I mean, also check out our Twitter. We need a lot more Twitter followers to match up to Turning Point. So Instagram, we're actually getting there. We are actually getting more followers on a daily basis than they are. We're gaining
Hell
like
yeah, dude.
20 or 30K a week.
Wow.
And most of our new followers, our new young followers, are young guys. Like they are young men. Like this is the demographic.
It's
I
fucking
see it as
amazing.
golf guys and like football guys and like guys who are part of frats following us. And I'm like, oh, I say, oh, followed from your reel. Oh, great. And it's some reel about some Joe Biden edit. Wait, these guys like Joe Biden? Holy shit.
I think
Maybe
they
this,
do now.
yeah, they do now that they're stock propellers in the toilet. But I mean, I won't chastise you for making the wrong choice. I will welcome you with open arms. I'm gonna say that it's not your fault. It's the elites' fault, the conservative elites who made you
Hell
think,
yeah.
made you believe this. Like this is like the philosophy that I have, right? Because I know a lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals like to like, point their finger, wag their
Shame.
finger.
They like to just write out shame.
Like I mean, shame like other liberals, but also yes, conservatives. For not being 100% in line with their values, of course, if you're a liberal, or, of course, making the wrong choice and voting for conservatives, or just having conservative beliefs in general. Like I grew up in a very conservative part of Texas. I have a lot of friends who are conservative. Part of the reason why I know the landscape so well and I can understand it and what appeals and works to people is because I have conversations with people. I know what people want and I know what values people have and where they're coming from. And once you understand that, which that can only be accomplished with conversation, which is why we have to show up on campus. Once we understand that and know that, then we can go to a place where we can then say, okay, well, here's the better view. Here's the alternative view. I disagree with you. We have this. We share the same values. Like I love America too. I'm a patriot. But here's what I think. I think America is a beautiful, great idea. That's what makes us the greatest country in the world. But the actions that we've taken as a country, some of it is in the past, i.e., slavery and other things. Some of it, especially now, is quite shameful. So I don't think we're living up to the idea. But I know America can be great, and I know it can be great. I don't want to say once again, but great more than ever
Can
before in
be
history.
greater.
Be great. Yes, exactly. Make
And
America.
that's ultimate patriotism. It's that you believe in this country so much that you want it to be better than it is right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think conservatives share the same value. I know a lot of conservative kids, like they love America. Okay. So why not? Let's make sure that every single veteran in the country is housed. Why not make sure that everybody has freedom? Everybody has liberty. And instead of, I know a lot of people on the left are like really big on taxing the rich. And I mean, I'm all for that too. But
Yeah.
there's this new book called Abundance. I don't know if you're
Yes.
on
Yeah,
Twitter,
we just
right?
yep.
It's really great. So I am all for taxing the rich and, like reining in the oligarchy and the billionaires. But I also believe in a bigger agenda that I think could be fused together. An abundance agenda where, I mean, yes, we make sure that there is less inequality, but also where everybody is richer. Instead of taking away
Yes.
people's wealth, we make sure everybody is wealthy. And I think that's an agenda everyone can get behind. I mean, the Dream for America Valley. I mean, we're established as a 501c3, so technically nonpartisan, liberal leaning, but technically nonpartisan. Like we don't endorse candidates and whatnot. But
Yeah.
our three core values is freedom, democracy, and security. Freedom from overreaching governments that interfere in your personal life, freedom from corporations that want to exploit you, democracy, where you have choice in how you live and the way you're governed and the way of life around you, and security. Security from threats around the world, from people who want to hurt us, security from um, all the different forces domestically here that want to harm you. But overall, it's about freedom, it's about democracy, and it's about making sure that everybody has opportunity in America. And I think that's something that people can get behind. And once you combine that with memes, oh my God, what a
It's
powerful
gonna
force!
explode
And
like your guys' Instagram page.
it'll explode. And also on TikTok, I mean, TikTok banned us, which I have a conspiracy, which is that after they shut down TikTok for like 12 hours and then
Were they trying
blast.
to be favorable to Trump and
Yeah, that's my conspiracy theory because we have never had an issue with content on TikTok ever before. Like it was never flagged, but then right after that happened, like every single thing we posted that involved like conservative something immediately flagged, immediately gets banned. The last thing we posted before we got banned on our old TikTok account was vaccines are good, and anyone who says vaccines cause autism is an idiot and that's bullshit. And that gets taken down and our account gets banned. We can't appeal it; it's permanently banned. We had like 100K on that account.
wow.
And now we have to start from scratch. But we're at 5K. We started it just like last week, so um, the support is there. It's organic, and most of our support actually has come since election day. I mean, we got started 2 years ago. We first started as a 501c4, so we were involved in like different endorsements and campaigns, and like the Biden camp like included us as one of the like groups, youth groups that endorsed them, and so on, and that was great. But after the election, we transitioned to become a C3 which is nonpartisan, but you can discuss values and philosophy. Um, and we have seen a huge amount of growth. Like we were just at like 20K on Instagram until like November. We barely had any followers or donors by then, but we have like a giant email list now, like 50,000 people. We've got thousands of kids signing up to start chapters. A lot of them are young guys, and a lot of them are like from the fratty campuses, like, like we have somebody from ASU, from U of Alabama.
Damn, Alabama.
I mean, we've got people in like West Virginia trying to do this thing, and it's and of course on socials, it is blowing up. So I think there is a huge market for this, a huge potential for this, and it is only going to go upwards from here.
I love that. I mean, I think one of the things you spoke about is one of our co-hosts, Dylan. He's actually a frat president here at UCLA. He couldn't make it because he has class. I'm the only one that doesn't have class after like 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. So he's a frat president, runs a whole frat house, and so we have those vibes here. And then Ben and Max are like these big, huge gym bros. I don't know if you've seen them. They're like insanely built. They like they live, breathe, and like just pray gym. And it's like guys like that who you wouldn't expect to be on the left and to be, progressives and liberals that are. And I think a big thing that I've been a little shocked by is I have like the American flag right here. I don't know if you can see it. I have a battle during World War II right behind me, very famous, and I got it from like the UCLA store. And the reaction I've gotten is like kind of mixed. People are like, "Oh, the American flag! Like, why do you have that in your room?" I'm like, "Well, like we need to take back patriotism from conservatives. It's not a conservative ideal. It's not a liberal ideal. It's just an American ideal." So that's like part of the reason why I have it. And it's like, hey, I love this country. It's given my family and I so many opportunities, so many things as an immigrant myself that I am going to fight for everybody to have access to healthcare. I'm going to fight for everybody to be able to go to school and not have to, go into like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt just to get a good education. Or if you want to go to trade school and learn a skill, the government should help you out with that, right? It's things like that that I believe in. And so love what you guys are doing with reclaiming patriotism, but also making sure that people know that we love this country too. We love this country so much that we want to make sure that you have a better life, that our veterans are taken care of, like you said, and that we're not drowning in debt because some corporations want to like use us and colleges want to scam us.
Right. And you know what? The conservatives, they're all about the national debt, right? And that they're all
Yeah.
about, Doge. Okay. Why did you just put forward a $1 trillion military budget? Like,
Yep.
I'm all for the troops. I love the troops. I think the military is great. I think they're very honorable people. But okay, you want to reduce the debt. Okay, so then why do you have a $1 trillion military? But why do you need a $1 trillion military budget? If you want to, like, there's ways to keep our military strong and great without spending $1 trillion. Like, why has the Pentagon never succeeded in an audit?
Audits.
Where is that? And if you, by the way, you ever notice that Doge is always cutting the most meaningless stuff, like $5 million for trans surgeries in Bangladesh or something like that? Why aren't you cutting the like hundreds of billions in subsidies that the guy who runs the department gets? Oh, conveniently, that doesn't exist. Why don't you modernize and make our military more efficient so we don't have to waste money
Or
on?
look into the contracts and how much they're paying for like it was like utensils or something. I saw a report on that. They were paying just like an insane amount for utensils. I'm
Right.
like, what's happening here? And the fact that they haven't gone after the Pentagon, now they're introducing the $1 trillion package, makes me a little suspicious that they don't give a fuck about the debt, right? Doge, just this whole culture war things they're trying to put out there. But what's funny is that a lot of Americans are not buying into their bullshit. You have an unelected billionaire that is making choices, that is firing veterans who were promised a job. There was a veteran in Virginia. I forget his name, but the U.S. government told him, if you go get your master's degree, we will give you a promotion and you will have a good role at this job. And they fired him.
Right. Right. And well, actually, you'd be like, I agree with you. A lot of people are finally waking up, and I am proud to see it. But there's a real sea change that's happening. There's a political realignment that's happening. A lot of older folks are joining the ranks, like middle. I mean, there's this big like hands off protest right over the weekend, or at the time of this filming,
Yeah.
April. When was it? April like 5th or something. Big protest around the country. A lot of people turned out great. But one thing that a lot of people noticed, not a lot of young people. Mostly older folks, some millennials mixed
Yeah.
in, but a lot of young people. And I see it around campus too, where most of the people who are first time voters last November, they all voted for Trump.
Yep.
And there is a big sea change happening. And I can't emphasize this enough that if we don't do something now, make the investments in the right organization, the right people to shift the tide, we are going to lose an entire generation for decades, and we might not be able to come back. Right after 2012, Democrats declared demographics as destiny,
We
and
thought we were
Republicans.
going to win forever. The Obama coalition.
And technically, that was true. If we had the Obama coalition, technically that
Yes.
would be true. And you know what? Turning Point started in 2012. Charlie Kirk, he was like 17 at the time, 18, whatever. He was going to go to college, then he dropped out to start Turning Point. Which, as much as people want to like criticize him for not going to
It's
college,
really
like
smart. I mean, I
he's a
made a
very
smart
smart
decision for
guy.
himself.
Very smart guy, and like he is very great at learning. I don't disagree. I disagree with everything he says, but he's a very smart guy, very articulate, very well, great manager and business guy too. Given Turning Point's now a very successful operation, so props to him. Political beliefs pretty evil, but as an individual, great job, Charlie. But what they did in 2012 is they took a look and said, okay, this is not working. And I actually dug back when Charlie looked like a fetus and he was going on Fox News at like 17 trying to make the case for Turning Point. He was basically like, the Romney campaign's youth outreach sucks balls. And we basically need more memes. And Turning Point, like for like 3 years, was just straight up Obama memes and like making fun of Obamacare and a bunch of other stuff. It was just memes, like straight up memes. And basically he was making the case, okay, and then eventually started getting into a bunch of other stuff, uh, basically making the point that, okay, we need a new way of doing this. The old way of doing it, like the young Republicans, college Republicans, they all existed, but we need a more innovative way of doing this. And fast forward today, 12 years later, his bet worked. Now, I mean, Charlie was just at University of Illinois. That is in deep blue Illinois. Like there was like 5,000 kids that showed up to see him.
Wow.
That is a lot of people. And now, if you have, say, uh, Pete Buttigieg show up on college campus, like, I mean, Pete Buttigieg is great, but would
Yeah.
he get 5,000 kids to show up? I don't know. So there is a new tide, new sea change that is coming, and it is concerning, but it is time to do something. And I'm glad people are starting to realize.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I've been calling out the same exact things because I also grew up with a lot of conservative people around me, family, some friends, and I've been having these conversations. So I think it's important that we both kind of grew up in that realm. We understand what they believe, but we also understand the things we both agree on. Um, Touching on kind of the issue we have with young voters, a big thing that the left has been talking about after the election is like just the absolute collapse of young men in the party. Because, I mean, to put this into perspective, Joe Biden won young men by about like 25 points in 2020, right? And Trump
Obama
just
by
won
more.
them. Oh, Obama by more, yeah, but Trump just won them. But I forgot, but he won, like, it was a couple points, but he still won them, right? And guess what? He did even better with men of color, young men of color, and Hispanic men, Asian men, Middle Eastern men. You go down the list, right? So if you want to just, and there's some people on the left that just want to call them sexist and racist. And I'm like, it's not going to do anything. A, B, a lot of these men are men of color. So if you're calling them racist, how does that make any sense? I mean, I guess you could be racist against other races, but you just completely avoid having the conversation and the tough conversation that we need to have about how young men have felt betrayed by the Democratic Party and the steps that we can take to regain their trust.
Right. I mean, as a young guy myself, I mean, oftentimes I'll look at what the party is doing, and I'm like, yikes. Uh, and I'll look at what like other liberal groups are doing or like influencers are doing. I'm like, and the people they're platforming, I'm like, yikes. I'm still a dyed in the wool like hardcore bleeding blue liberal. But if I'm occasionally having thoughts like, is this what we should be doing, guys? Imagine what like your normies are thinking. Like I am tuned into Twitter and Instagram and like Politico like 24/7. So I have information to make me like hardcore, and I'm there for you. I know the facts, so I know why we need to do these things and support these things. But your normie guy doesn't. And so there are a lot of right answers for why young men are going the way they are. I mean, my hypothesis is that um, I think the party no longer actively welcomes young men and treats
Yeah.
masculinity as an acceptable trait. I think that's a big one. Part of it is that just the staffing culture. Like I know that a lot of the staff that run the socials and do events, right, are not necessarily young men, so or like straight young men. Uh, so I mean, you could have more straight young men serving these ranks, but I don't think that alone will solve it. But in general, like I think making masculinity right, the right kind of masculinity, not toxic, but the right kind of masculinity acceptable, and welcomed into the party and into the tent in general. I think being more um, focused on economics and focused on science and logic in our messaging, I think that'll work too. Because one of the things that conservatives herald themselves as being facts over feelings, like they're the people who are logical and have common sense and are pro family. Well, that's a chalk of ridiculousness because, in the words of Charlie Kirk, abortion is worse than the Holocaust. Really? Really? The mass genocide and killing of Jews and other people by the Nazis, that's worse than a woman, if their life is in danger, needs to have a procedure done so that she doesn't die. Okay, that's okay. Great. Common sense. Bravo. Bravo, Charlie. But for example, like we need to be staunchly pro-family. Like we want you. I mean, we don't want to force you to like have like some sort of weird eugenics thing, like the conservatives like want to have some weird
Yeah.
nationalist eugenics patriarchal thing. But we want you to have family, right? I mean, as a concern because our birth rates are falling, and I'm concerned about 30 years from now and whether we're not have a sustainable economy. But also family is good. Like I think, and it doesn't need to like be whether you adopt or whether you have a child yourself, but like family is good. So making it easier to have a family, we are supportive of family. We want to make sure that you can have a family. One of the reasons why young men and young people in general don't have families, you can't afford it.
Too
Uh,
expensive.
right. So focus on the things that appeal to people. A lot of young men, family, economics, facts. How is this going to affect my life? What is reasonable? And I think that begins with a lot of the culture war stuff, taking the logical, right position on every issue, and then taking the right on. For example, and this is definitely a hot take, but for example, on the trans sports issue, or on the gender issue, Charlie always asks people, "What is a woman?" And when we fail to articulate what is a woman, that makes us look goofy and
It
weird.
does.
We don't,
Yeah.
especially as the people who could proclaim to be like, we want science, we like science, we care about the news and the facts, but we don't know what a woman is. It's aesthetics like that that are really important, especially when those clips are circulated over and over by the right
Yeah.
empire.
We've seen those all over.
Right, right, and and Charlie keeps saying it, and people complain that it's this gotcha question. Well, it is a gotcha question, like because we can't answer it. So I think we have to face some facts, especially given the fact that a lot of people overwhelmingly um, are in favor with their lens of the issue. But we don't have to become bigots and be like, okay,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
let's excise trans people from every aspect of society,
Exactly. No. Exactly. Mhm.
right? We support every American's right to freedom. We don't just support trans.
Yes.
We want everybody's rights. Trans rights
We
are
want you
American.
to live your life the way you want to live it. We want the government out of your life. We want the government to
Exactly.
be able to not go in and tell you who you can love or where you can live, whatever it is. We want you to live your own life.
Exactly. I will accept the fact that there are biological differences between men
Yes.
and women. However, if you choose to transition, I'm going to call you by your pronouns. I'm going
Yeah.
to respect you. I'm
Just
not
like
going
I
to.
don't want to be a dick. It's just not being a dick and an asshole.
Right. And the conservatives want to monitor, the trans, like stop the trans from going to the back. But what are you going to do? You're going to rip down their pants and check their genitals? You're going to have
And it's just like if they're younger kids, that's just weird, dude. Why do you want to check like a younger kid's genitals?
why do you care about genitals so much, guys? I thought you were the group that cared about respect and dignity and religious val. Okay, so why do you think about trans penises all the time? Why do you think about that? Why is that on your mind all the time? Like it is, and why does it trigger you? Because okay, so liberal little snowflakes. Why does it trigger you so much that we ask you to respect people's pronouns? We ask you to respect people on the streets. We ask you to respect the right to protest. Why does that
So
trigger you
you
so
don't
much?
have to agree with them. Just treat them as like a human being.
Exactly. And
If they're an asshole to you, be an asshole back. I don't care what you say.
or do the decent thing that society tells us, just walk away. Nobody's forcing you to be their friend. Okay? Nobody's forcing you to be. So if you don't want to be their friend, great. Hi. Goodbye. That's
Exactly.
it. We don't need the government to institute some mandatory, okay, I'm going to ban you from like this portion of campus or this portion of your workplace
Yeah.
because, you choose to live a different life than I might. So I think that's the position we need to take. Yes, there are biological differences. Here's what a woman is. It's somebody with a vagina, somebody who can reproduce. Okay, great. Next question. Let's talk about food and security. You want to talk about trans people? Okay, great. I think they should exist. I think they have a right to exist. They want to go to whatever bathroom they want. They want to do whatever they want. Great. They're American, no more different than I am. End of conversation. Now let's please talk about the starving children.
Yes.
There you go.
I love that.
That's the way. And I think that is going to be it's all about because I think fundamentally us as liberals, as progressives, I don't think there's anything wrong with our values. Like us believing in human rights, us believing in democracy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So a lot of people say, oh, we need to become Republican light or we need to shift far to the left. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
It's all about how we message and who is doing the messaging. I don't think there's a need to change our values. I don't think there's a need to really change ourselves into something we're not. It's standing by our values because people want authenticity, and it is getting the right people to tell people about it.
Yeah.
Another issue, right? Like the border. Nobody is saying we want the illegals to flow through the border like with millions in the masses, and we want them to.
Yeah, and
like,
I'm an immigrant, and I'm not even saying that.
right. And actually, no immigrant wants that. Like,
Yeah,
so it's
no.
just to say that liberals, oh, we want we like criminals, and we want crime. No, here's what we think. We think that illegal immigration is bad. You should follow the rules. Even Obama says that, right? But
And
here's the
that's what he
difference.
did throughout his presidency. Yeah.
Exactly. But here's the difference. If you came here illegally, okay, we're going to give you due process. We're going to treat you like a human being. We are going to, yes, deport you, but we're not going to send you to some concentration death camp. We're going to send you over the border again, have you wait in line for a little bit,
Yeah.
pay a fine, and then if you pass the immigration process to the right means, okay, congratulations. God bless America. You're an American now. That
And
is
that's the position that most Americans, even Trump supporters, I was looking into polling, they want more legal immigrants. They even want to make the process easier for legal immigrants because they probably know people who are trying to get in who have been waiting for years and years and years. It's a very popular message. I think one of the failures of the Biden administration was this inability to even go out there and speak about the border. There was this whole thing that was going on and among the staffers. It was like, hey, we can't admit that there's issues at the border because it's going to make us look bad. Guess what? Americans were already having a bad image about the border and your handling on the border. So you not speaking about it does nothing to fix it. If anything, it harms you even more because it shows that you do not give a fuck. That's one of the biggest problems with the Biden administration. And we saw this in the polling, how it dragged down Kamala Harris because they wanted to give her the title of technically, but she was supposed to deal with like systemic issues of migration. Regardless, you gave the vice president the role to deal with migration and some of the border with no actual power, right? So like, don't give her that position if you're not going to listen to her or do anything on it because it just makes her look bad. So I think it's like this conversation we were having. It's like, should we speak about it? Should we do something about it? Yes. And guess what? I had to argue with someone who's running for Congress in Texas, very young person, probably know who I'm talking about. Don't want to mention their name, but they're running and cool. And I was on TikTok Live and I was like, yeah, I think Biden could have done more on the border. He could have done something much earlier on the border. No, he couldn't have done anything. Republicans didn't want to do anything. I'm like, yeah, I know. I agree with you. Republicans didn't want to fix the issue, but Biden could have issued those executive orders much earlier. The fact that he did in June. And by the way, I was like, do you really think a Republican Supreme Court is going to strike down executive orders to toughen the border? Come on, like, just give me a break here. So we had this whole argument. He's like, you don't know what you're talking about. They tried. And I was like, maybe they tried. There were like tweaks, but again, it's messaging, and they didn't even issue those executive orders until June of his 4th year in office. So and like it was mind boggling. So I was like, this is one of the issues where like Americans very much disapproved of the Biden administration, not because they hate immigrants, because they saw chaos at the border, they saw these migrants getting flown in, and they thought to themselves, hey, we legitimately cannot handle all of this. Let's make them come the right way. If that means we have to be a little tougher on the border, that's fine. And it was just an issue that we still deal with today. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know the way you see it, but I think it's one of those issues where like we want immigrants to come in the legal way. Asylum is fully legal. My family came in seeking asylum when I was like 3 years old, right? That was fully legal. We waited our turn. we had our asylum court case, and back then, thank God, it was just 2 years. Now it's like 8, 9 years. So I see the frustration with immigration groups there, but it's a multifaceted issue. We need more investments in the border. We need more immigration judges. It's hard because everyone talks about more border patrol agents. I worked with the Homeland Security Committee when I entered in Congress. There just aren't enough people that are applying to be border agents. One of my cousins, who's an immigrant himself, is a border agent, right? And he even tells me we don't have enough people applying because it's a dangerous ass job.
Yeah, it is. And look, it's a really complicated issue. So when conservative, I mean, if you look at, I mean, it's not just immigration. If you look at every single thing that conservatives stand for, they're all
Yep.
short-term like band-aids over long-term causes. What liberals want to do is look at the root cause and actually fix the damn problem. Which that's, by the way, which we should be emphasizing, which is that we
Yes.
actually are serious about governing and about solving the damn issue. You just want to put a band-aid over it, okay? And then 10 years from now, okay, let's put another
We're
band-aid
going to
over it.
keep talking about it every single time, and it's just not going to go in. That's their goal, right? Their goal is to exactly do that. They want to use the border as a political issue, but we shouldn't allow them to do so.
Right, exactly. And by doing that, we have to uh, acknowledge some hard truth, which is that the border is a problem. We have to fix it. And yes, it involves more stringent patrol and making the border quote unquote secure. And also, yes, it might involve some deportations of people who are not here. And
And committing
especially if you're
crimes.
a criminal, you're out of here. If you're a criminal, you've committed a
Yeah.
crime, you're out. But that all has to be done with due process. You can't just declare, okay, you don't belong here, you're out. Or like taking kids off the streets in plain clothes. What are you doing? By the
for
way,
for just expressing what they believed in. If and to all the conservatives out there, like, imagine if this was a Democratic president that was going after international students who criticized him and his administration's handling of whatever it is, and
Mhm.
they were doing this. Please do not lie to me with a straight face and tell me you would not be outraged. I would be outraged as well because I'm actually principled on this issue.
Exactly. And if Joe Biden started commanding the Department of Homeland Security to start taking anti-Biden people or people who are criticizing like NATO, for example, let's say they hate NATO or like hate what he's doing in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and start deporting them or like detaining them in the middle of the night with no answers to where they are, what their next steps are, whether tell their family where they are or where they're going next. That is, I mean, I'm confident enough to say that's a human rights violation. What are you doing? And by the way, what happened to freedom of speech? Not only is this a
This
freedom
big
of speech,
thing that conservatives always talked about.
and isn't it funny that the people, the conservatives who always say, "Oh, my freedom of speech is under attack. I am being censored," says this to his 20 million followers with his 5 million Twitch streamers and his 2 million subscriber YouTube channel
And
that
on
gets.
the app that is literally funded by a conservative unelected billionaire.
Yes, yes, yeah, my freedom of speech is a problem. Meanwhile, anybody that disagrees with your opinions should be silenced. Anybody that goes out and holds a protest sign should be thrown in jail. Anybody that comes here legally and writes an editorial that is against your foreign policy views, deport them. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Of course, freedom of speech. Yes, of course, all in the name of securing the border. But all of this is to say that, right, the conservatives are massive, massive hypocrites. Now, I don't say that with the conservative people who support conservatives, people who identify
Yeah.
as conservative. I don't blame you. I consider you a friend. I consider you a brother, a sister, a patriot, fellow patriot. And I am happy to engage in conversation with you anytime. But the people in the media, people in government, people in the financial class who are conservatives, who are pulling the strings, they are the ones that are hypocrites. They are the ones that are steering this country in the wrong direction. And they are misleading millions of people, including young people, and taking them in a vastly, vastly wrong direction. And I think we should be pointing that more. Why is it that uh, all of these issues never get fixed? Why is it that conservatives always have band-aid issues on them? Why? Because they want to keep talking about these issues so they don't have to talk about any real issues. Okay, you want to fight culture wars? Okay, liberals should fight them and we should win them. Then close the book, slam it shut. Let's talk about the real issues. Okay, you want to talk about the trans kids? Okay, great. We think trans kids should exist. We don't want to abolish a human being because they are the way they are. All right, great. Next question. Let's talk about income inequality. Let's talk about how the corruption between government and corporations. Like, I am
Yes.
all for capitalism. I am a strong supporter of capitalism. I think it's the best system, at least compared to the rest. And
But
it works.
true actual capitalism that doesn't involve monopolies, that doesn't involve, corruption with government to get favorable contracts and treatment.
Exactly. Exactly. there has been a corrupt merger between corporations and the government that that gives them favorable regulations, that gives them favorable legislation and other policies, and then the revolving doors that they make giant contributions in super PACs and financial contributions to all sorts of politicians, some on the left, but mostly on the right, all in amount to repeat the cycle all over again and perpetuating
Yeah,
that.
I mean, we saw this with Kirsten Sinema. I mean, if anyone thinks that money doesn't have an influence in politics, please tell me why Kirsten Sinema was fighting. And Joe Manchin admitted that Joe Manchin was like, look, I was cool with expanding it, the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, expanding the drug negotiating to even more drugs. But she just wanted to cap it at 10. Why does Kirsten Sinema, who accepts hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from Big Pharma, want to cap the number of drugs the government can negotiate and lower the price of? I
Very simple.
wonder why.
Right. I mean, I will say that there is one thing I do agree with her with. Well, I agree with most of what she said before she became whatever she is now.
Yeah.
But also, I agree with her on the filibuster, and that was kind of a hot take for a while back in the Biden era, which is that the filibuster, as much as we didn't want it and it was impeding our agenda, it was helpful. Like what Cory Booker that just did, that's exactly why the filibuster should be there, so that when evil shit happens, we can be there to stop it, so that they don't have 51 votes and they can just pass whatever evil shit they wanted. So that's why, like, I thought the filibuster would be a good thing. And I also personally served in the, I was a Senate page for a brief
Saw
little
that.
bit. And so, like, I got to see everything up close and learn how Congress and the Senate works. Like, there's a lot of things that I think that goes on in Congress that are really important that might be annoying to progressives, or, there's things that happen that might not be the most favorable or things that we want to get rid of, but they're there for a reason as institutional guardrails to prevent bad things from happening. There is such a
William.
thing as tyranny. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, no, just real quick. I think I've also come to that point where I don't want to abolish the filibuster. My issue is this.
Hmm.
I think what it does is that now this wasn't supposed to be its point. Yeah, it was supposed to like prevent, big change from coming and sweeping in, but I think a big issue that we have today is that let's say the next Democrat gets into office and somehow they have unified government. I don't know how the hell we're going to win the Senate, but somehow they have unified government, right? And they run on, hey, we're going to codify Roe. Hey, we're going to enact all these really popular reforms that Americans agree with, common sense reforms. But it's the filibuster that comes in the way of doing those things. And then in 2 years, the American people go out to vote and they elect Republicans to the House and Senate. How, we can always do reconciliation. I think my whole thing is like, hey, we can change the rules of the Senate to make reconciliation a little more broad. You could do that. Like,
Indeed. I
people
agree.
forget this. Republicans fired the parliamentarian back in 2001 when they wanted to pass their tax cuts. Like, they
Bingo.
replaced the parliamentarian. So I'm
Bingo.
like, there's these tweaks that we can go around. And for example, like if you want to raise the minimum wage, I think that belongs in reconciliation, because if you raise the minimum wage, that directly affects the budget. Because you're going to have millions of people that are off welfare, which means the government's saving money. You're going to have more tax. You're going to have more taxes flowing in because people's wages are going to go up. So that directly affects the budget. I don't understand why the parliamentarian ruled against that when it came to the American Rescue Plan in 21. So there's all these tweaks we can make. We just have to actually have the balls to make them. Republicans do them all the time.
Exactly.
They did this with Supreme Court nominations, right? It's not like it's, and so I agree with, let's keep the filibuster in place, because I do think that big change is a lot easier to get done, and some changes that maybe we don't want conservatives to get done through removing the filibuster. But there's all these tweaks that we can work with that we can actually pass shit in the Senate with.
Exactly. Have you ever seen House of Cards?
I have, yeah.
Okay. I agree with you. Like I agree with you on the filibuster, and I agree with you on making, like, there are so many things that we could rule wise, like, that wouldn't be like permanent
Yes.
changes that we could easily turn back on, that we could get so much shit done with. Parliamentarian, easy, number one. That would basically change it. That would help a lot, actually.
Yes,
We
so
could take
much.
some Frank Underwood political jujitsu. Like, get shit done. And then if people are like, Republicans are like, oh, well, you're breaking the rules, or that's social. Okay,
We're delivering for the American people. We're
let's go
giving them childcare.
Let's do 50 rallies across the country, blow them all out on social media, have
Hell yeah.
cable news, do it. If I was president, I would be in the streets screaming from the rooftops about why my agenda is going to give you
Why
five.
my budget needs to pass.
And anybody that is against it. All right, here's a list of everyone that opposes it. You hear this? Everyone write this down. Put this in your notes app. Senator blank, Senator
Yeah.
blank, Representative blank, even if they're a Democrat. if you don't vote for this, you are out. It's over.
Yeah.
Done. Especially if you're a conservative. Which, of course, if I was a Democratic president, of course, they would oppose to the death of everything that I supported. But that's the strategy we need to do. We need to be tough. We need to fight. And I think I know that's the attitude that a lot of people are trying to embrace right now, which is a lot of what we were missing in the Biden years. And then especially now is that there was not enough fight. We weren't going
I
out.
think the man just physically like loved the guy. I don't think he was physically capable to do that stuff.
Personally, I have a different take. Like I still think he was very capable. I think he was, of course, he was a great president. I think easily one of the top ones. I think it would have been even better if he passed even more stuff. I think he easily
Yeah,
would
I
have been
think
like,
it's gonna take time for a lot of Americans to realize
oh
a lot of
yeah,
the great
yeah,
shit that he
oh
passed.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of buyer's remorse over the next 20 years, but I think he's easily a top like 10, maybe even five president. Probably top five if you got a second term and he was a little bit younger. But um, I definitely think yes, he got a little bit more slower as he got older. But I don't think he was demented or anything. I don't think like he
No,
was.
I don't think he was demented. I think just physically, like when you get that age, when you're 81 years old, like you just can't do the same things you could do. Like we've seen the debate with him and Paul Ryan. Absolutely just dog walked Paul Ryan. Like just
Yeah,
murdered on like that was a crime scene. So I
for
think
sure.
it's like it's just when you get older, you just get a little slower. You can't and you can't go out there and do all those rallies. Like we saw Kamala doing 4 rallies in a single day. And flying to 3 different states, and those are things that you get when you are a little younger. So I think that's what I'm talking about. It's physically so draining for older people to go out and do that. I'm not saying you like Bernie's been doing that, but even he does like one rally every 2-3 days, which is still fucking great for his age. But it just takes a toll on you mentally and physically.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But I disagree with anybody that says like he was like rotting in a
Or
rotting.
had dementia and yeah, then no,
I don't think so.
yeah, that makes sense.
I think the job also drains. Like he's 81 and
Yeah.
he's out there. I see pictures of him out there enjoying his retirement, and he looks like 20 years younger now after leaving office. Like it's just like his life
And
has
his
come
little
back.
shorts, his little biker shorts.
Yes, and like right after the election, like he seemed so well rested.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was odd.
I just think like since he dropped out, he got a lot more rest, had a lot more
Yeah.
less stress on his shoulders of running a presidential campaign, of beating Trump, of and so I disagree with anyone that says he's demented. Like I think he was fully capable of the job, and he was a great president. He might have been a little older and a little slower in his steps. Even himself admits that. But I think he was great. Although one thing I know a lot of people point this out, and this is another hot take that I have. I'm against term limits actually, whether it's in Congress or
Yeah.
president. I think it should be up to the will of the people. Like if you
Yes.
are, because like Bernie Sanders, for example, he is like older than Biden is. He's 85 and he's still out there marching. Like,
Yeah.
but if we had term limits, then Bernie would have been out of here a long time ago. And we
Yep.
need, even though he's not the voice I most agree with on every single issue, we need people like him out there to bring up those issues. Otherwise, they would never get talked about. And he's great. Um, but that's why I think, there shouldn't be term limits. There should definitely be like cognitive tests to make sure that you're still fit. There
Yeah.
should definitely be, it should be definitely be up to the will of people. And although I know that there was a Republican, Congresswoman from Texas, Kay
Who
Granger,
was in her literal like retirement home or something, right?
and she dipped from her off, and she got reelected too. And she
Dude, for
dipped,
like 6 months.
yeah. And
How did no one wait? How did the DNC not catch it? Like how did this not get caught, dude? This is
how
insane.
and we should have known this like before the election, so we could have gotten an extra seat. But because the other person is literally in a retirement home, and now her staff was running the entire office. So a lot of people just thought, oh, maybe she was on medical leave or something. Which technically, yes, but just it's not. It's leave. It's permanent. So, but like it's at that point, like it's. I know the other issue, like if it's up to the will of people, it's also about information. So of course, transparency. We need people to be transparent and to be willing to admit that okay,
Yeah.
I'm not for this anymore. It's time for somebody else to do this. But if you're old, but you're capable, you're still with it, you're great.
Yeah.
100 more terms. Keep doing it until you can't. That is, if you are a good person in there, like Bernie is great, but I don't support Strom Thurmond being in there till he's 120. Like that was Jesus. Um, but I overall
Hey,
I
at
think
least Cory Booker just broke his record.
Yeah, and he is like almost 60, which is it's pretty incredible for him not to pee
Yeah,
for like
no,
5 days.
what I was thinking was like no water, no food, but standing up for that long. I'm like, holy. Like, did he get to sit down? Was there any sitting down?
Yeah, he did get to sit down. He did a couple of interviews afterwards, but God, and I know he like wore these giant ass bulky like running shoes that are that
Yeah,
so I mean that helped a little bit. I'm guessing he didn't drink any water, didn't eat any foods since like a couple days before that, and
yeah.
of course like a podium to lean on. So I think it looked easier than it might have been, but I mean God, for stand there for 25
I
hours
can't do that. I wouldn't be able to do it.
and as a like a 56-year-old man, oof, I mean
Pretty
bravo.
fucking impressive.
That is very impressive. But I mean, we need more people like him. We need to, even if it's performative, we need to be out there making the case, making the message. Because one of the things, as a broader kind of criticism of how we've done things with young people, is that we've been absent. We have not shown up, especially with around election time. Like we always go to the very liberal campuses, and it's always right, just register to vote, get out to vote, and so on. But what about all the trade schools? What about all of
Yeah.
the state schools? What about so on? And I'm sure different campaigns have done different things. So it's not a criticism of anybody. I think everybody did the right thing. They did what they were supposed to do. They thought they did what they thought would work, but of course, it wasn't enough. Um, but I think it's all about showing up to different places. I mean, Charlie has Turning. I mean, Turning Point has chapters all the way in like deep blue San Francisco, New York, Boston.
Pretty sure we
Uh,
have a use. They have a use. Like he's here every other week. It feels like he has a UCLA chapter too. I think.
yeah, and that's because his philosophy is go everywhere. Don't leave
Yeah.
a single place uncontested. Even if they boo you, even if they scream at you, even okay, fine. Keep talking. Keep making.
William, me and you have to go to the University of Alabama.
Yes, we have to. We
That
gotta.
would be so funny to go to the University of I would legitimately go there and just like speak to them. I would love to do that.
100%. I mean, look, the path forward for Dream for America. I mean, we have got a lot of stuff. I mean, last 2 years has really just been the like building and fundraising and putting it. I mean, it's only been like me and like three other guys for most of the time here. But now we have gotten so much new interest, so much organic surge and support. We have to. I mean, we've run into two problems. It's we've run into a financial problem. Like we raised 500,000, but now we need to raise more money to sustain all
Yeah.
of this. And as a matter, because we've been an all volunteer team, now we need to just bring on a shit ton of more volunteers because 3 to 5
Yeah.
people isn't going to suffice anymore. Now it's going to be we're going to have to build up a bigger team. We're doing the conference, of course. We are going to have at least 250 chapters on campus by the end of this year. Hopefully, that's our goal. To have 1,000 members, to have at least 100 events held, maybe, and then maybe next year we can do tours. I know there's some other groups working on some different campus tours, so I think that's great. But overall, I think this is really exciting, and um, 2026 is going to be exciting, and 2028 even more so. It's only going to be up from here, and we're only getting started.
Really can't go anymore, but we can't lose that much more, guys. We really can't.
Actually, yeah, that's true. We can't theoretically, yeah, we absolutely could lose a
Good.
lot more, but it is only up from here. I mean, when you're at basically rock bottom, there's only one way to go, but up.
Up. Yeah, that is the one silver lining here. To wrap this up, and then just want to say thank you so much, William, and everything that you're doing. 16 years old, fucking awesome, dude. And I agree with you so much. I think you are the type of person we need out there talking to these young people, but talking to everyone. Like you said, there's people from all ages joining these protests, joining the movement. And even if we only agree on like 2 or 3 issues, let's have a conversation and see where we can go from here. So, William, I'm gonna link everything in our bio. You guys have way more followers than us, so we're probably not gonna help you out that much. But do want to say thank you, and then let's get you back with the full squad. I definitely want Dylan to be here, and then Ben and Max. So, well, I know you're busy right now. You're finishing senior year, so enjoy that. I sound like an unk, bro. Holy shit! But enjoy everything, and you are gonna do amazing at college. What are you studying, by the way?
Government.
Okay, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm political science and history, so like basically the
Yes,
same.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
But I'm hoping to finish as soon as I can. I mean, depending on how those AP tests go, I'll have enough credits to maybe even finish in 3
dude,
years. Who
there
knows?
you go. That's
Uh,
amazing.
but yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on the show. I mean, maybe let's get you out to DC for the conference, and maybe we'll have you do a
I would
live
love
taping.
to. I would love to do that. I'd get the Brogressive crew out there. I have some friends out there. I would love to do that. And hey, we know we just started. We kind of started after the election. We have like one video that has like 4,000 views, and that's like ooh. But we have like over 15,000 streams right now. So I do want to thank all our
Hell yeah.
listeners. We have some loyal listeners, and kind of we just got to put in the work and keep going and just inviting different voices. And I've always thought about like doing some TikTok, just hopping on TikTok and doing some videos. So
Do it.
Brogressive on TikTok, maybe we'll see. And
Do it.
yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
William.
Thanks for having me on.